Aren't you a little short for a stormtrooper?
What's up, nerds? Welcome to another episode of the Multiverse Report. We are recapping the week's nerdy news all the way from the North Pole to the island of misfit toys and everywhere in between. That's right, it's the Multiverse Report Holiday Edition. What makes it holiday? Because of the time of year it is, duh. Also, We're wearing cool festive t-shirts. Hello. Absolutely. My name is Mike Gibson. With me, as always, is Steve Haller. What's up, Steve? How are you?
Well, we're in between Life Day and Christmas, so I have to rock the Chewy with Christmas lights on. And I missed the Life Day special. I was not able to get that one shot. It pains me to say, but I will find a way to read that at some point. Other than that, I don't know if you noticed, there might have been a movie that came out this week.
Yeah, there was. There was a movie that came out this week, a movie that we've been talking about for a long time. We're going to talk about it a little bit right now in a spoiler-free reaction review kind of thing, but right after we're done recording this episode, we are going to immediately start recording another episode, which is going to be completely 100% talking spoilers about Spider-Man No Way Home. So, if you have not seen Spider-Man No Way Home, don't listen to that episode. Just listen to this one, and then go about your business.
And we'll have plenty of spoiler warnings at the top of the next one.
Yeah,
we're going to stick to spoiler-free on this one, just to
yes,
make sure you guys are all...
Because, straight up, Steve and I have not discussed this movie.
Not at all.
We've both seen it. We have not shared one opinion about it at all, but we're about to right now, in at least some non-spoiler way. Steve, I went to the theater to see this movie. You were so desperate to see it, but not at a place where you felt like going to the theater necessarily right now. You watched a bootleg version. And I just want to say, piracy is not a victimless crime, Steve.
It's true. And, I've in the past, I've been known, back in the LimeWire and Napster days, dating ourselves here, been known to partake in various sharing of illicit materials. However, in this case, it was strictly a COVID protocol precaution.
Of course.
And of course. I watched a copy of No Way Home that was roughly the quality of a potato. However, even in that quality, it was a pretty darn good movie.
Yes, I liked it a lot. I enjoyed it. It was very much what I expected it to be, and what I've said on this podcast many, many a time. Was it kind of messy? I thought, yes. Was it overloaded with stuff? Yes. Did I need... Is it the Spider-Man movie that I wanted? No. Was it super fun and incredibly entertaining and a delightful time? Yes, absolutely it was. I had a blast watching it. I thought some things worked, some things didn't work, some things were a little clunky for me. I think I'm in the minority. Seemingly from internet reactions, I seem to be in the minority of people who don't think it's the greatest Spider-Man movie of all time. And I guess I'll go into that more in the spoiler-free reaction. But what I'll say here, which is not a spoiler, because if you've seen the trailers, you kind of know what they're doing. They're bringing all these villains from other universes. They're bringing in the Dr. Octopus and the Green Goblin from the Sam Raimi, and they're bringing in Electro and Lizard from, the Andrew Garfield movies. It's hard for me... How do I want to say this? The MCU, I'm not the first person to say this. The MCU is more like a TV show than it is like a movie franchise. Like, you have to watch every episode, right? Like, each movie is an episode. Like, you can't watch the first 3 episodes of season 1 of a TV show and then watch the finale of season 3 and know what's going on. You're just not going to know because you haven't seen everything. That's like what the MCU has done.
Right.
But not only for this one, because they're bringing in all these other things... Not only do you have to watch the Tom Holland Spider-Man movies, you have to watch the other ones with the villains too. You have to watch the Sam Raimi trilogy, and you have to watch the Mark Webb, Andrew Garfield 2 movies at the same time, or you're not going to understand what these villains are talking about and why they're there and what they're doing. Like, that's just the case. I saw this really funny tweet a couple weeks ago that was, do I have to watch Spider-Man 1, 2, 3, 1 and 2, 1 and 2 to understand Spider-Man 3? Which is a joke, but yeah, you do.
Yeah.
You do. So I'll say that, and I don't think that's too much of a spoiler to say. But so like, I guess in saying that, my struggle often with some things of the MCU is like, if you have to watch 5 to 10 to 20 other movies to understand the emotional impact of one new movie, is that one new movie really a good movie? I don't know. Like, it's built on the backs of all these other films, like Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. That's an insane movie. There's tons of stuff that happens in that movie, but it gives you everything you need. You could show that movie to someone who really doesn't really know that much about Spider-Man, and they would get it because it gives you everything that you need. This movie is not that at all. Like, it relies on you having seen all the other things, much like most of the MCU is. So I guess I shouldn't be expected, but now we're utilizing movies that are outside of the MCU. So it just felt like that more like, okay, we're really relying on a lot of other source material here, other than the characters that you have set up in your trilogy. So
I do feel like that's a bit of a, like, you would miss some of the deep cuts, but I feel like as long as you saw the Holland Spider-Man stuff, you would understand most of what was happening.
I mean,
you wouldn't get the complete nuance, and you probably wouldn't put it where some people are putting it in, like, the top 5, top 10 of the MCU.
Yeah, I agree with you. Sorry, you can finish talking.
I think it really, like, seeing the prior Spider-Man works significantly heightens the enjoyment of it. Understanding the concept of the multiverse from Loki, or what is going on in the MCU, is a necessity, but I don't know if necessarily seeing all of the Spider-Mens would be a 100% requirement. I think for peak enjoyment, yes. Thinking it's a slightly less messy, slightly closer to a 10 out of 10, then absolutely you need to see everything.
Yeah, I just think that there are character moments in the movie that don't make sense to you or will be confusing to you if you haven't seen these other films. Like,
and I'm picturing a couple that are just like dead nuts. Yeah, I get you.
Yeah, exactly. So like things like that, I'll say, I mean, we're going to go into this a lot deeper in the spoiler review, but there are times when I think it benefits you from not having seen the other movies because at least one major characterization is radically different with no explanation whatsoever. But anyway, I really enjoyed this movie. And the more I think, like, I've been kind of like not negative on it because I really did think it was great, but like I've been in the last couple days since I've seen it, I guess I've been thinking more about what didn't work for me more than what did. And I think that's kind of unfair because I really did have a great time. I almost cried at least twice in the movie. I was laughing out loud. Like, it was a blast. It was an absolute blast to see.
It was an experience. And I mean, I experienced it myself in front of a computer screen, and it was still an experience. Quality. Yeah, like, it was still, like, I don't know. I guess I'm going to throw you on the spot.
Do it.
If you had to give it a out of 5 grade, I guess out of 10, because I was going to say including
out of 10?
half steps.
Oh shit! Sorry, I just got my phone. Out of 10. Yep,
and I'm talking as not only as a movie but as the event spectacle. Because in all honesty, this is Spider-Man's Endgame. Like, and that's what Feige literally said. This is Spider-Man. This equates to Spider-Man's Endgame. Like,
yeah, I guess that's true. Well, I feel like it's hard. That's hard for me to separate those two. It's hard for me to not separate those two things because if I'm grading it as a visual blockbuster Endgame, event movie, 10 out of 10. Like, you nailed all the boxes. You made me laugh. You made me cry. I was excited. Like, that's all the things that you want when you're going to see a popcorn movie or whatever.
Yep. And if you take it out and separate the event from the film itself,
as a standalone Spider-Man movie or superhero movie, I'd say I would give it probably, I don't know, an 8.
Okay.
So like still
So
pretty high.
that's literally dead nuts where I was saying, or like
Yeah,
what
I would say
would've
like
said.
7 or
7
8.
to 8. Yep. Okay.
I would like to see. I want to see it again. Absolutely. I don't think I'm going to go to the theater to see it again, but I am interested to see how I feel after subsequent viewings, because I think I said to you, I don't know if I said it on the podcast, but I did finish my rewatch of all the other Spider-Man movies, which again definitely helped going into this one.
Right.
But my rankings changed a little bit. I bumped up Amazing Spider-Man 2 a couple of places after thinking that movie was just terrible. That was my bottom of the ladder one, and I was like, oh no, there's a lot of good stuff going on in this movie, a lot of cool stuff. Like, it doesn't miss the mark. I mean, it does miss the mark quite a bit, but so much good stuff going on in that movie.
And without spoilers, I'd say it may even increase after this movie.
Yeah, possibly. So. Yeah. All right, so anything else you want to say, spoiler free? We liked this movie.
I think both of us were high on this movie. Anybody who wants to hear our actual like full blown reaction, spoilers, everything, will be publishing right after this our instant reactions to what we saw, and hopefully feel free to let us know what you thought, because I'm sure it's going to be different than what we thought.
That's right. So stay tuned for that spoiler review. Finally, after that, it's nice to not have to talk about Spider-Man anymore, because we've been doing it for so long. So our first story tonight, Marvel has announced that they're making another Spider-Man movie. Shocker! We're going to talk about Spider-Man even more. Well, first of all, the original story that I had in our rundown was from last week when Sony chairman Tom Rothman was talking about Spider-Man's future in the MCU, and he's kind of talking about how the deal works between Sony and Disney, and how he said that they do have one more movie left on that on the current deal. Basically, he said the deal is reciprocal. We lend them one, they lend us one. That's how we got Benedict Cumberbatch in this movie. So like, they're saying they'll loan Tom Holland for an Avengers movie, but they get to use Benedict Cumberbatch, Robert Downey Jr., or whatever in theirs. He said, so we have one more lend back that's committed. But the thing I can say is actually accurate scoop on this. He kind of jumbles his words a little bit and says the two companies have a terrific working relationship. It's a mutual hope that this would continue. But basically, he says we have to wait and see how No Way Home does. Well, No Way Home has made $587 million globally as of the recording of this episode. Is the third largest domestic opening of all time. It is third behind Avengers Endgame and Avengers Infinity War.
Right.
So,
and Marvel that's a small 253 million domestic.
Yeah.
Like what?
Yeah, domestic. And I think it definitely has the legs to be one of the highest grossing films, at least domestically. I think it's going to stay in that the upper echelon of those movies for sure. But as I'm putting together this rundown today, there is a new announcement. Kevin Feige has officially confirmed that they are in development on Spider-Man 4. This is other than the lend back that Tom Rothman just said. Tom Holland is already contracted to appear in another Marvel movie. I assume that's going to be some team-up movie, or he's going to have a cameo in something. On their side, who knows what that's going to be. But other than that, they are developing Spider-Man 4. The quote from Kevin Feige said, Amy being Amy Pascal, who a couple weeks ago said they were making a whole trilogy, which doesn't seem to be necessarily
back and then back in. Yeah. And who knows? It's one of those.
Who knows? Wonderful. I mean, I'll be shocked if they don't end up making another trilogy based on the absolute domination of this movie. Yeah. But said Amy and Disney and Sony are talking about. Yes, we're actively beginning to develop where the story heads next, which I only say outright because I don't want fans to go through any separation trauma like what happened after Far From Home. That will not be occurring this time. He is referencing the fact that the last time that the deal between Sony and Marvel was up, it was reported that the deal had fallen through and that there were going to be no more Spider-Man in the MCU, and people flipped out. and I don't know that
to be fair, it was like rightfully so, because it left it at a weird spot. It was like when that all dropped, it was just awkward, because you knew you knew Sony and Marvel were going to come to an agreement, and it was like, mom and dad are fighting. Can they just, come together and we'll figure this out and everything will be fine. And they're eventually going to get back together, but they're yelling about the vacuum being broken. Like, come on.
Right. Yeah, I feel like that leak was probably premature. I think it was never really in danger of completely falling apart necessarily. I think they were just still in negotiation. So that's good news because, tune into our spoiler review, but based on where this movie ends, I'm very excited to see what they are going to do moving forward.
You and me
Spider-Man
both.
4. Yeah. All right, finally, moving away from Spider-Man for now until we record a whole episode about him in 40 minutes from now. Moving into
Spider-Man
DC.
game. Oh, never mind.
Moving into the world of DC, we got two little smaller stories for the DC universe. There's a Gotham Knights series in development at the CW. This is from the writers and creative team behind the Batwoman show that's in season 3, I think, currently.
Yep.
Now, this is I guess anytime they keep announcing DC shows at the CW, and I'm always happy that when I read them because I'm a DC guy. I like that they're developing new projects, and the CW shows certainly have their audience, or else they wouldn't keep making them. But I guess that's what surprises me, that I keep thinking like, wow, they're really doing another one. Wow,
Yeah.
I guess so many of them have been so successful for so long that I'm just constantly shocked that people aren't sick of them. But I guess I don't know why I'm not shocked, because people aren't sick of superhero movies. People aren't sick of other superhero shows.
Yeah.
But I don't know. They just keep pumping them out. And this sounds like something that's a little bit more up my alley, but I'm not really sure what I think of it. It being, Gotham related. I'm a big fan of the Bat family. But this seems, from the description, the official description, this seems like something that I'm not quite sure about. It says, in the wake of Bruce Wayne's murder, his rebellious adopted son forges an unlikely alliance with the children of Batman's enemies when they are all framed for killing the Caped Crusader. And as the city's most wanted criminals, this renegade band of misfits must fight to clear their names. But in a Gotham with no Dark Knight to protect it, the city descends into the most dangerous it's ever been. However, hope comes from the most unexpected of places, as this team of mismatched fugitives will become its next generation of saviors. So, wow. Bruce Wayne's rebellious adopted son, that could be one of 3 people. It could be Dick Grayson, it could be Jason Todd, it could be Tim Drake. Could be a new character, I guess. Who knows? And then teaming up with who?
Anecdotally, I usually assume with the descriptor it would be Todd, but
yeah. Well, canonically, Bruce Wayne has adopted all of them since.
Right. I'm just thinking like he seems to be the one that fell off the wagon the hardest.
Right. That's true. I see what you mean. That's for sure true. So what is it? So it's a Robin, teaming up with who? Jonathan Crane Jr.
Right.
I don't know, like Oswald Cobblepot II.
Right.
I don't like who. It's kind of strange that they wouldn't just use other Bat family, like
Right. Like the video game that's coming out is going to be all of the Bat family. It's going to be Nightwing, Batgirl, Robin, and Red Hood.
Yeah, exactly. So why isn't this Dick Grayson and Barbara Gordon, or Jason Todd and Stephanie Brown, or Tim Drake and Stephanie Brown, or Cassandra Cain? Like, there's tons of other characters they can use. No, this is a cool take. Like, I'm all for Elseworlds takes on things, because you can get some cool storytelling out of that. Just not when you say the Gotham Knights, because of the previous comic book series and also because of the video game that's coming out. This is not what I think of. So when I read Gotham Knights series in development, I was like, whoa, awesome, Bat family game. And then I was like, oh, description does not necessarily match what I think of when the title comes out. But
right, and inherently, like, if they'd have just said Gotham Knights with an N, but like legit using the Knights like the Dark Knight,
right,
you bring the Bat family into it, as you perfectly time the Batman cup drink.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I mean, no matter what, it'll probably be at least worth a watch. Just to check out, but it does seem very odd that was the descriptor for what's already had pre-existing content that is not fitting to it.
Yeah, I mean, it's odd, but also if you think about it, like, Batman is the most popular DC character.
Yeah.
And they're probably not allowed to make a straight up Batman show, which is why they made a Batwoman show. Because they want Batman to be in movies, and there's weird decisions, I think, that are made about what characters can be on both, or can only be on TV, or can only be in movies.
Right. And now you have the CW and the HBO stuff, and the
Exactly.
There's now levels upon levels of DC-ness.
Right. So it's probably, how can we make a Batman spin-off show that is different than Titans, that is different than the Penguin and the Gotham City Police Department movie or shows that are in development,
Or even
different than
like Gotham in the past.
Yeah, exactly. Different than Gotham, and also different than Batwoman
Right.
at the same time. So how do we do all this? How do we get how do we get Batman fans to watch a show that, one, doesn't have Batman in it, and two, is not something they've seen before? So yeah, sure, have Jason Todd or Dick Grayson or Tim Drake team up with villains' children and see what that's like. Because I've certainly never seen or read anything like that, so it could be interesting. And not all these CW shows end up working for me. I used to watch all of them, and then it just got to be so much that I couldn't keep up with them anymore. And then
that's where I am with the HBO stuff right now.
Yeah, I know. That's what's as good as, it's just going to be like that everywhere. It's going to be like that on Disney Plus. It's going to be like that on the HBO Max. It's going to be like that in the movie theaters.
Well, I was talking to my wife this week, and we had, and I'm digressing, but like Wednesday, Hawkeye of course came out, and then Friday, Wheel of Time came out, and then also Friday, all of the next season of The Witcher dropped.
Right.
And I had the Spider-Man cut in between to watch, and I'm just sitting there like, what do I do?
Yeah, so. It's a lot. Oh, and by the way, you mentioned Hawkeye. We will be doing another feature of Hawkeye Talkeye at the end of this episode. Spoilers for the most recent episode of Hawkeye. So make sure you tune out before we get there if you haven't watched the most recent episode of Hawkeye. Anyway, back to DC. I'll definitely be interested in seeing, what the cast is like, what the characters are they're going to use for this show, and I'll watch the first episode. Sure, why not? Yeah. Give it a shot. If it's something more similar to something like Superman and Lois, and less like I don't know, Legends
Season
of Tomorrow.
17 of The Flash.
Yeah. Then maybe I'll give it a shot. And I like a lot of Legends of Tomorrow. It's very goofy, and it's its own thing, but it's not something that I can watch. Yeah, it's not something I can watch 22 episodes of every year. It's like just so much. So much show.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah. Staying with DC for our next quick story, Steve. We talked about this months ago, and I think Warner Brothers executives must listen to this podcast and say, you know what? Those two bright young lads are right, and we should make Blue Beetle a theatrical release instead of just a HBO Max exclusive. Yes, that's
Absolutely.
Right. Blue Beetle has been bumped up to a full theatrical release set for August 18th, 2023. Initially, it was just going to be an HBO Max exclusive, but like we said, Warner Brothers listened to the Multiverse Report and changed their minds because they realized, oh wait, all of our women and minority characters, besides Wonder Woman, are being delegated to the small screen, and none of them are getting theatrical releases. This looks weird. So, do I really think that happened? No. But what I do think happened, Steve, this is my theory, and I was shocked that it took me this long to realize it.
Oh boy.
The version of Blue Beetle, there's Jaime Reyes is the version of Blue Beetle they're going with it. I believe he's the current Blue Beetle in the comics. I think Ted Kord is also around too. But anyway, this version of Blue Beetle has like a magical alien scarab that bonds with its body, and Jaime gets this like a alien tech suit basically.
Right.
That can like listen to him and obey his commands and do all these crazy things like that. And it it goes on. It stays in the scarab's like on his back, and it like stays in the scarab and then comes out, covers his body, goes back. I think Warner Brothers said, wait a second, we're developing a movie about a young, possibly teenage or early 20s character who is bug themed and has a magical tech suit that can do crazy stuff and have big arms come out of it and help him fight bad guys. yo, Spider-Man just made $500 million. Why don't we
Right.
just try to get some bug-themed teenage angst money with our Blue Beetle movie? Plus, he's Hispanic. It's going to be the first Latino or Hispanic big-budget superhero movie to be released theatrically. This has a chance of doing really good business, I think. And they, I think, realize that. They're like, yo, we're making a bug kid movie. The other bug kid movies are doing great. Let's make our bug kid movie. Let's put that in the spotlight a little bit.
Next thing you know, Amazon's going to bring out a live-action Tick.
Dude,
I know.
are you making a joke? Because
Yes,
they
that
did
was
that?
a joke
Okay,
because it already got made.
They got made and canceled after
Yeah.
2 seasons, which is a bummer because it was good.
It was
I
actually
liked it
pretty
a lot.
good, yeah.
Yeah, it was really good.
I mean, I was definitely a fan of the original, and I thought
me too.
they did it well.
Yeah, I agree.
Sorry, various
Digression.
Yeah, various
But
multi-legged arachnid digressions.
Yeah. Can you imagine that multiverse movie? I want a Spider-Man, Blue Beetle, Tick team-up movie.
Oh god, that is the greatest. Yes, Spider-Man, the Blue Beetle, and Tick all in the same team. Like that's
That would be great.
Instead of Gotham Knights, can we get that?
Yeah. Bug Knights or whatever they would call it. Yeah. Bug Buddies.
But the logo has to look like Boogie Nights. It's just Bug Nights. God.
I think this is a really good move. I really do think that they saw what Spider-Man is doing, and they maybe saw the similarities in character.
Right.
It was like, yo, what are we doing? This is a dumb idea. We should do this right now.
Well, and for a selfish standpoint, do they want to get out ahead of the Miles movie? Because I'm sure Sony's got something in the works for Miles.
They have to, right?
Right. Like, there's no way at this point you have like the fame of Miles Morales as a comic character, and the fact that Donald Glover already played his uncle in the MCU. Like, there's enough allusions to the fact that Miles is around. Like, it's coming, I'm sure. So does DC want to get out ahead of that?
Possibly.
So
yeah, it'd be a good move. Yeah, I don't know. Honestly, I don't know why they made this call, but it was the right call.
No, absolutely.
I think it was definitely the right call.
For purely selfish purposes, I also said it before I saw the 23 there, but who the heck knows with COVID what's happening? But I was like, oh, I wish it was HBO Max just so I could watch it. And then I saw the 23 and I'm like, okay, hopefully by then I'll be able to go back to a theater.
Yeah, let's fingers crossed that happens. Yeah, for sure. All right, moving into comic books. There was a lot of comic book announcements this week. So many. I only picked like 5 or 4 for this rundown, even though there could have been at least probably 8. So we're gonna try to fly through these a little bit, and then maybe we'll treat them like one shots, maybe, and we'll go back and talk about them a little bit more. Alex Ross, artist extraordinaire Alex Ross. If you don't know who Alex Ross is, Google him and look at his incredible lifelike paintings.
If you have seen a variant cover of a comic book in recent history, and it was a major comic book, there's probably a Ross variant. He is writing and drawing his first graphic novel. I don't think he's ever written anything before. He's known as the artist, or maybe he has written something, but nothing on this scale. He's writing a graphic novel called Fantastic Four Full Circle, and he's quoted as saying, "This is the Fantastic Four story I've been wanting to tell for years, and visually it is one of the greatest artistic experiments I have ever attempted." Wow. For someone of his caliber to say that, that's impressive. And some of the teaser art for it is radically cool. So that should be cool. Gonna move on. Oh, we can come back and talk about that if you want in a second. But V and Francesco Manna are launching a new Carnage series for Marvel this March. V, who is currently the writer of Venom, is also getting the Carnage book, and he says, "This Carnage story is likely to become the most twisted thing I've written. This is a devilish, scary Carnage, and he's setting out to discover just where the bounds of his abilities really lie. Pity those caught in his wake. The Marvel Universe is not ready for what Carnage is turning into." Wow. Because Carnage needed to be more Carnage.
Yeah, I needed to be more Carnage.
Because Absolute Carnage wasn't enough. And what was the other They had
I
another
don't
Carnage
remember.
imprint.
There was
Yeah,
a follow up. Yeah, I don't remember what
like,
it was called.
how much more Carnage can Carnage get into?
I know. Well, let's talk about those are both Marvel books. Let's talk about those two.
Sure.
Yeah, do you think Carnage got to be spinning out of the success of Venom? Let there be Carnage, maybe? Like, there's clearly fans of that character. I mean, there's been fans of that character for a long time. So I don't know.
Yeah,
It could be because of the movie. It could be because Ram V is writing Venom, and he's like, "Yo, I got a Carnage idea too. Give me a Carnage book."
right.
You know?
It might just be that. I mean, that was kind of Kate's and Stegman had a bit of an impact on the Carnage stuff going on when they were writing
You're
Venom
right.
too.
Yeah, you're right. I don't mean to short them. Yeah.
It just kind of, I don't know. I feel like there's been Carnage overload. Maximum. Well,
I agree.
Yeah, going back to the '90s, Maximum Carnage before Absolute
Yeah.
Carnage and all that. Like, I still remember the Maximum Carnage video game, but like Carnage, there's a lot of Carnage happening right now.
Carnage to me is not an inherently interesting character, like to have his own book.
Yeah,
He's just like a monster. I mean, I haven't read too much, so fine. But even that Absolute Carnage thing that came out last year or whatever, I really
Right.
liked it. But it wasn't about Carnage. It was
no,
about
it's about Null.
it was about or it was about
Well,
Venom.
yeah,
It was about Eddie and Peter trying to stop Carnage. You
Right.
know. So something that's about him, I don't know that I would be inherently interested in. It's like, when they, like Joker or something. It's like, okay, this is a character that I like because Batman is fighting him, not necessarily because he's an interesting character
right.
in his own way,
Or my take on the Morbius movie.
Yeah. Yeah, no, exactly.
Same
You're
thing.
right.
It's like-
Our take on the Venom movie. Like, why are you
Right,
making a
yeah.
Venom movie without Spider-Man in it? That kind of thing. Why are you writing a Carnage story if Spider-Man's not in it or Venom's not in it or whatever? Carnage
Yeah.
to me is a good bad guy, but he's not necessarily an interesting bad guy. But I could be wrong about that because, like,
Yeah.
I'm a novice Carnage reader. But he
I
doesn't
mean, I've
seem
got,
inherently
I've
interesting.
literally right there got his first appearance ever, right there.
Oh wow, lucky you.
Yeah.
Nice.
But I it's not like I love the cover. Like, it's a really cool
Yeah.
picture of Spidey. So it just happens to also be where Carnage appeared. So
Wow, that's cool. Should get that graded.
probably
Yeah.
at some point.
So, I mean, yeah, I guess we'll see what that's like. I'm all for Alex Ross doing anything, but also a Fantastic Four book.
Yeah.
That's like right up his alley. And he seems very passionate about wanting to tell, says it's a story he's been wanting to tell for years. So, yeah, bring it, man. And
Yeah.
his art is it's very fitting to somebody like a group like the Fantastic Four. I mean, it fits everything that everything that he draws, but I don't know. He's really good at like golden age depictions of characters, whether it's Fantastic Four or Superman or something. Like his characters just shout, I don't know, 1940s or 1960s. Like, they're like, he really depicts them in a wonderful, beautiful way. I think
Right,
this is a
like
good fit for his first graphic novel.
Yeah, anytime you see him doing any of the other teams, it just feels like it's one of like that era. Like if you saw him drawing an X-Men book, it would literally feel like it was, original 6 type. Like,
yeah, for sure.
I don't know. Just I also may just be nostalgic right now because I'm rereading through all new X-Men, so I'm used to seeing the original 5 without Xavier, but yeah.
Well, cool. All right. We got a couple DC announcements. This one that we talked about last week, now we know what it actually is. Sean Murphy's next Batman the White Knight book will be Batman Beyond the White Knight. This is going to be his take on the Batman Beyond universe. We talked about last week, these White Knight books are like basically him retelling. They take place in an alternate timeline. Basically, it's not the main chronology of the DC Batman books. But that frees him up to tell his stories his own way and take swings and do different things. And everything he's done so far has been really great, really exciting, fun to read, really great storytelling, and done some really great character work as well. Introducing the Batman Beyond universe is very exciting to me. I did not expect that to be what this was going to be, but it makes a lot of sense looking at or thinking back about this White Knight stories that I've read so far. Quote from Sean Murphy about this book says, "This series is designed to check all the boxes of what readers love about Batman Beyond. but it also plays with some different pieces in different ways, reinventing some of the characters and taking a different approach and a few of the plot points. The idea is to be unique but familiar. Not only are there influences of The Dark Knight in there, but also Blade Runner, Spider-Man 2099, Ghost in the Shell, and a dozen other things. All that makes perfect sense to me, especially like referencing Spider-Man 2099. Absolutely, like Batman Beyond is very much DC's version of Spider-Man 2099.
Right.
A little bit different, obviously, but yeah, Blade Runner also, like, and him describing it as unique but familiar. Yeah, that's a perfect way to describe any of his Batman work. I think all of these White Knight books are very, new stories set with familiar characters and told in a way that is.
Yeah, I've definitely got to hit that imprint a little and catch up on some of those.
Hey, I got both of them hardcover. I got the first 2 White Knights.
Your stack's growing over here, by the way.
I know, man. You should just do one book at a time. If you give me a stack, it's never
just start
come back
swapping and yeah.
Yeah. That's the way to do it.
Yeah, if you get a stack, it's just gonna sit there. Versus, oh, this is a book. Yes. Okay, we can do a book.
Yeah, it's just gonna go on the stack that is already sitting there that I already have next to my bed. So.
Meanwhile, I just picked up the Strange Adventures hardcover, so.
Ooh, that's right. You did.
That's gonna take some time.
Yeah,
I'm still working through Hawkeye, but that's going to take some time.
Yeah, for sure. But speaking of Strange Adventures, writer Tom King has announced yet another Batman project with artist Dave Marquez. This is called Batman Killing Time. This is he wrote Batman for a long time, the main book, and now he's doing Batman Catwoman. He's also still doing Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, and Human Target. So he's got a lot of books at DC right now. I'm sure I'm probably forgetting something. But this is basically Catwoman, Penguin, and the Riddler execute a heist, and Batman is trying to get after him, trying to take him down. A quote from King that he put on Twitter said, "I wrote Batman for 5 years, exploring the emotional depth of this most interesting man. Killing Time has nothing to do with any of that. This is a badass heist action epic. Mean folks are on the run, and Batman is close behind." That sounds great. I'm in.
Yeah. No, that.
Yeah.
I just love the way he describes that.
Yeah.
I hadn't read. I'll let you know. I didn't read the show notes down in this section.
That's fine.
But I hadn't read that quote until you said it, and that's perfect. Like I did all this like deep thought, like wrote the character well, did all this work, and I'm not going to touch any of that. We're just going for a heist.
And honestly, that's really exciting to me because some of his there's a lot of his main Batman run that was great, like top tier Batman writing, and there are some where he, I don't know, towards the end I think it got away from him a little bit, and it didn't really end the way that I expected it to or enjoyed really. But some stuff he knows he's got whole issues that have barely any dialogue, and it's just very visual storytelling. He's really great at that. I think something that's like, if this is going to be like a slim, no fat, badass heist like he's talking about, probably going to be a lot of that. And from somebody who writes huge, emotional, deep things like Mr. Miracle, Vision, Strange Adventures, as you're about to read, I don't know, Heroes in Crisis, things like that, to have him be like, nah, I'm not going to do any of that really heady stuff, and I'm just going to do a cool action
flick. We're just going to have fun.
Yeah, exactly. Have fun. He also pointed out on his Twitter that not at all coincidentally, this is a book that comes out next year that is a Batman book where the villains are Catwoman, Penguin, and Riddler, the same 3 villains that are in the Batman movie coming out next year.
Oh, weird.
Weird. It's, like when they do that cross department collaboration, I guess you'd say, comics and films.
They got the memo.
They got the memo. So anyway, I'm excited for that. Comics, lots of cool announcements this week for comics. So check out, do some Googling and see what else is coming out. But this week, coming out in comic book stores, we got Amazing Spider-Man 82, Avengers Forever #1, previously mentioned Batman Catwoman #9, Batman One Dark Knight #1. This is a graphic novel written and illustrated by Jock, the wonderful artist. He's never written a story before. This is #1 of that. Black Canary Breaking Silence. I have no idea what that is, but I love Black Canary, so sounds cool to me. Catwoman 38, new creative team taking over the book. Catwoman Lonely City #2, which was a DC Black Label book. I read Lonely City #1. It was awesome. It was crazy, crazy good. Highly recommend that book if you are interested in, I don't know, good comic books, I guess I should say. Eat the Rich #5, Hawkeye Kate Bishop #2, House of Slaughter #2, Iron Man #15, Ms. Marvel Beyond the Limit #1, new Ms. Marvel miniseries coming out. Nightwing 87, which is the issue that is all one continuous issue. I cannot wait for this one coming out this week. Big Nightwing issue. Star Wars, Darth Vader #19, Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow #6, Wastelanders Hawkeye #1, Wonder Woman Evolution #2, and X-Men Trial of Magneto #5. Slowly wrapping up Trial of Magneto. I don't know what's going on. I know there's been mixed reviews, but we'll see how it ends. I don't. This is the last one, or is it's a 6-part?
I thought it was a 5, but
okay, maybe this is the last one.
I don't know.
Anyway,
from the reviews it's getting, I hope it's a 5.
Yeah, yeah. Not a lot of people happy with that.
And everything I've heard is it is of no fault of Leah Williams. It's like there's some other stuff going on with it in the post Hickman verse.
Yeah. All right.
So.
All right, I'm going to do some quick one-shots here and then do some Hawkeye Talkeye, and then I'm going to start recording our Spoiler-Man spoiler review. That's right.
I do want to mention in the
mention it.
The this week, House of Slaughter, I think, dropped this past week. House of Slaughter #2.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because it's right.
Because you have it?
I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's right there.
Oh, well, the email I got from my comic book store said this week, so I don't know.
I can say it's very intriguing for anyone who has read Something's Killing the Children, like where they're taking, like what this book is going to be is it's going to be intriguing. So,
all right,
in standard Tinian and Deladera form.
Yeah, I am caught up with Something is Killing the Children. I have not started House of Slaughter yet.
Okay,
so same. Yeah, Something is Killing the Children continues to be incredible.
Yes,
no matter what.
Absolutely.
Anyway, all right. Some quick one-shots here. A documentary called Slugfest about the rivalry between DC and Marvel is set to premiere on the Roku channel Christmas Eve, this Friday, December 24th. This was originally made for Quibi. Remember Quibi, everybody?
That was a thing.
Yeah, it was made for Quibi, but that service died before this documentary could actually air. It's produced by the Russo brothers, famed directors of many a Captain America and Avengers movie, and narrated by Kevin Smith. I actually heard about this documentary a lot from listening to Kevin Smith's podcast when he was hired to do it. He talked about how great it was, and he was really bummed that it didn't get to be shown. But
I feel like this and the Masters of the Universe thing, he just never shut up about.
Yeah, he doesn't shut up really much at all. He's
also true.
Yeah. But yeah, there's a trailer out for this. It looks really cool. Interviews with people in the business talking about them one-upping each other. And I think trailer starts with somebody saying, without Marvel, DC wouldn't exist. And without DC, Marvel certainly wouldn't exist, which is accurate. I think I think Marvel coming out in the 60s when they did kind of reinvigorated the love of superhero comics, which helped keep DC alive. But, DC started in the 40s and Superman came out in 1938 or whatever, so without that, Marvel wouldn't have been able to really take off at all. So they're definitely dependent on each other, and also rivals, which I think is cool, and I'm down for a kind of an in-depth documentary, which seems like this is going to be.
Beyond that, on a completely turn of where we were, Wilmer Valderrama from That 70s Show, because that's literally the only thing I think I've ever saw him in, will produce and star in a new Zorro series for Disney Plus. So, hitting the classic swashbuckler, and that is probably reinvigorating it.
Yeah, I'm down for that. I hope that works out.
Should be good.
I think it's supposed to be. It's not like a modernization. It's still set in like 19th century.
Wow, nice.
Mexico or whatever. I think. I saw it last. I never really watched That 70s Show very much, but there is 3 seasons of a series. I think it's on Netflix of From Dusk Till Dawn. It's a TV adaptation of the Robert Rodriguez and Quentin Tarantino film, and it is awesome, and
I was
he's
gonna-
in it. He's a major main character in it.
How have I never known about this until now?
I don't know, dude, but it is great. It is great, and I've sung its praises to a lot of people, and I'm the only one that I know that has seen it. Because really, really good. It's definitely worth watching. It's basically the first season is basically the movie, but told differently, you know, with more nuance and more character development. And towards the end, it starts spinning into its own thing in the last few episodes, and then the seasons 2 and 3 are just its own thing, and it's really great. It's really cool.
I think I have something else to add to the list of crap I need to watch.
Yeah. There you go.
I'm pretty sure, at least that one, though, I know my wife won't watch, so I should be okay.
Yeah. No, she will not. She will not. And last one shot, a dagger in the heart to many restore the Snyderverse hopefuls. Ben Affleck says he no longer likes big franchise filmmaking. He was quoted in an interview this week saying, "I don't want to do IP movies where you have this built-in audience. That's something I was interested in and liked, and I just don't like anymore. I like other people who do it, and if you're going to do it, you should love it. And I love something different, so I want to do that." Makes a lot of sense, but doesn't seem like he's putting on that cape and cowl again anytime soon, other than his return in the Flash movie. But other than that, seems like he's done. So I don't know that Snyderverse is going to be restored. But I don't really know what that even really means, because a lot of the same characters from the Snyder movies are moving on and continuing. I think they just want him to be the one making the movies, which I don't think is going to happen. I think he's done. I think Warner Brothers is done with him, and Ben Affleck is done. So
there we go.
I don't know.
So, yeah. I mean,
so all right.
That works.
All right. This is the part of the show where we talk about Hawkeye. Spoilers. It was probably it won't
this
be
one's
long.
going to be a spoiler filled discussion. If you are tuning out now, please like, subscribe, follow us on Twitch, leave us a review on your platform of choice, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, wherever you feel like. More than happy to have you spread the word. Feel free to get a hold of us on social at the Multiverse Report on most platforms, Multiverse RPT on Twitter, the Multiverse Report at gmail.com. Again, like, subscribe, leave a review. Everybody will be happy. We'll keep producing content. And we'll see you next week on the Multiverse, unless you want to hang around and talk about Hawkeye.
Or get it spoiled for you. Because there's a big one. There's a big one in this, guys. There's a big one at this. So if you haven't watched episode 5 of Hawkeye or episodes 1 through 4, don't listen. Stop listening right now. And we appreciate you. Thank you for listening, but goodbye. And spoilers for Hawkeye in 3, 2, 1. This was my favorite episode of Hawkeye. I
think you're right.
Yeah.
I think it really was.
And I've liked it. I've liked every episode a lot, but this was great. Specifically, I'm going to jump right to my favorite part. The conversation between Kate Bishop and Yelena in her apartment, I thought was incredible.
That was everything that Yelena was like, that made me love Yelena in Black Widow.
Yep.
And they kept the characterization and they nailed it.
Yeah. Yeah, it was like more of that.
Yeah.
It made me want to watch Black Widow again. I really need to watch that again, because I watched it once and I loved it, but I haven't gone back to it. I don't know why. Maybe because there's 1,000 other things to watch, like we've been talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, I loved it. I thought she was Florence Pugh is an incredible actress. I'm really glad that she's in this role. I hope that she sticks around in the MCU, filling in the Black Widow role, as long as she wants to, as long as they have things for her to do. She was funny, she was personable, she was cool, but she was terrifying at the same time. And like really straight up looking at Kate Bishop saying, "I could kill you in 10 seconds. I could do it right now." And like believing it, being scared of it in a way that Natasha really never got to do. We never really saw her like that. Because just the way that her character was designed, I think she was more like, yeah, I'm cool and casual and, let's hang out and be friends. But this is all, I guess they made it clear that was all a front.
Right.
But also that, and that she was deadly and dangerous, but she never really she never looked at Tony in a way that was like deadly serious. I could kill you right now. and I
Right.
will if I need. There was never
And
that like
that's-
intimidation moment.
Right, and that might be a function of when we met Natasha's character as well.
Of course, yeah.
Like, if she was still, like, just out of, well, technically by years, not just out of the Black Widow haze. Like, Yelena is years out of the Black Widow haze. However, there was a minor little glitch in the Matrix there that threw me for a loop until I realized what happened.
What was happening? That was incredible. Seeing her, we see her blip.
Yeah.
From her perspective, we see her turn to ash and then come back immediately like that, like it was no time passing, which we hadn't seen before. It was a cool perspective on that, and I like how they are able to keep reminding us that this is a thing that exists in the universe. Like, these characters disappeared for 5 years, but to them it wasn't. They lost that time, and this was really, I think, the most effective way they've ever shown us that. Like, this happened like the snap of a finger. Literally. For those people, and it came right back. She comes back, the room's different, the people are, there's a daughter there that wasn't there when she went into the bathroom. Like, that was so cool. That was such a cool way. And like the shock on her face of like, what just happened? Why is, so cool. So absolutely cool. But yeah, I love this. I loved everything about this episode. I don't know, there wasn't a bad thing about it. I didn't think. I liked, I really like Jeremy Renner. I feel like I've seen him in some things where it felt like he was phoning it in a little bit, especially in some of these like the superhero-y, Marvel-y things he's been doing. I don't think he's doing that in this show. I think he's really plugged in this show. And that scene where he's standing at the bridge looking at the plaque that says this is where the Avengers formed or whatever. Like, that was cool. One, that was a cool detail. Of course, because of course they would have that there. In the reality of the MCU, of course there would be some kind of plaque saying this is where the Battle of New York was won or something,
Yep.
But that he's looking at that plaque as if it's her grave, basically.
Yeah.
And talking to her, and he's really, really great in that scene. He's like really effective. He's like almost crying, and he's just acting his face off. Like, he was really great.
And I feel like he's actually brought it for this series. Like, compared to, like you said, he's definitely phoned it in on occasion, whether it be some of the other Marvel movies or other things you've seen him in. Like, you can tell when he's on, you can tell when he's off. He's been spot on for this whole thing, and it's been great. Also, I agree. His wife, like, the more we see her tied in. And again, we talked about Wilmer Valderrama on That 70s Show. All I can see is Linda Cardinelli in Freaks and Geeks. So it's awesome to see. We didn't really see in the Avengers movies her being tied into what Clint is doing.
Right. And that's a real question now, isn't it? Because what is this watch all about? Why is it so important? What's going on? Is it a watch they're talking about?
Yeah, it was. They kept referencing a Rolex. So yeah. So we'll see. I mean, they showed it a couple of times, and we'll see what it actually was or is. Or I don't know if we're supposed to know, but I mean, if you and I can't remember it, then somebody may, but it's not us.
If you're listening to this and you're yelling at your phone or screen saying, "You idiots, it's this," then write in and tell us that why we're idiots. But I don't remember anything about it. But it definitely is interesting to get some more background on her. Also, Linda Cardellini was Velma in the live action Scooby-Doo movies.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Image for her. But yeah, I really like that development a lot. And I don't know, it's just great. It's just really good. And I mean, hey, get right to it. End of the episode.
Yeah.
Kingpin.
Yeah.
Calls him the Kingpin. Picture of him with the mom. And I had called it. I had thought that's what it was going to be. I was like, I feel like maybe it's the mom and Jack is like a patsy. And that is definitely what happened here, because Kate got too close and then Jack got arrested. And the mom was like, oh my God. Yeah, she definitely set that
100%.
Shell company up in his name. So he would be the fall guy. For sure. And
which it mildly sucks, because I was like, ooh, swordsman. Okay, we can keep running with that.
Yeah.
But, you know, also great from a characterization standpoint of the mom, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, and it was pretty obvious the mom was in on something or knew more than she was saying or something. But now she's heavily involved if she's the one that hired Yelena to kill Clint. But the end of the Black Widow movie, it was Julia Louis-Dreyfus's character that kind of pointed Yelena towards Ronan or toward Clint. So like, who hired who, and is Julia Louis-Dreyfus like the go-between? Is she like the agent for Yelena? Like, how did that transaction happen? Like, that's a little fuzzy for me, but it also was probably not important at all.
Right, and it might have been something where they might have actually been mutually exclusive, because Julia Louis-Dreyfus says that that was who killed Natasha, but we don't know that the woman hiring a widow had anything to do with that. So if Bishop's mom just happened to also want Clint out of the picture, and Yelena happened to be the one that picked up the contract, it might just be a happy circumstance. Yeah,
it could be a thing where like, hey, you want to hire an assassin? I know somebody who hates this guy already, so it would be a perfect fit, that kind of thing.
So I'm assuming we'll find out more on Wednesday.
I would hope so, since it's the last episode of Hawkeye, and I don't know if we're gonna get this, but it would be cool to see Kate and Clint fight Fisk. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
I mean, we're gonna see more of him, right?
I would assume what we would see would be Kate and Clint fight Fisk and Echo turn on her uncle.
Yes, that scene was cool too. That was a really cool fight between Ronan and Echo, or Hawkeye, Clint, whatever you want to call him.
All the above
too, and like starting to sow the seeds of doubt in Echo about she can't trust her crew, can't trust maybe it was her uncle that did it, that hired, or not hired, but like made the path clear for Ronan to take out her dad and other people. So interesting. A lot. I feel like it's going to probably be a packed episode, and there's probably, I don't know, it's going to be a lot going on.
Yeah.
You're going to tie up a lot of loose ends, but I'm excited for it because they've been crushing it so far. So
absolutely.
All right, so that's all I got to say about Hawkeye. So unless you do, Steve, I think we can end this episode and immediately start talking about Spider-Man No Way Home in a additional episode that you should all tune in for. Unless you haven't seen it, then don't tune in for it.
Right.
But here we go.
If you haven't seen it, we'll talk to you next week. If we have seen it, we'll talk to you in about 3 minutes?
3 to 5 minutes.
Sounds good.
So, all right. So thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. And we'll see you next time around the multiverse.